Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. Welcome. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's sunny out, and I really appreciate that you guys are here when it's so sunny outside. So, what are we doing today? We are leveraging generative AI for illustration with Illustrator. So, what does it mean? We're going to go and use Illustrator. I'm going to ask you a few questions if you used Illustrator before. And then we're going to go in and look at the assets and work with generative and AI in Illustrator. So before we start, a little bit about me. I'm an Adobe certified instructor. I'm also streaming on Behance on a weekly basis. So if you can see here, this is my Behance page, and actually this is my streaming over here. So if you like to follow me, it's behance.net/HannahArt or Hannart. And live stream, you see my live stream over here. So every week I choose a project or a topic and I stream for around an hour. And usually I do it now on Wednesdays at 6:30 Pacific time. But if you cannot join, you can see that I always record it and I have that on the recording. As on top of that, I am also a designer, I'm an artist. I also teach downtown at FIDM, so the Fashion Institute for Design and Marketing. And I am also writing the test for Adobe. So if you are interested in certification, you know, we offer the certification here in Annenberg, and we do that on Thursdays and Fridays for the print certifications. And the videos, I believe, is on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. So if you feel like doing it, check out in the front. We're almost done with this semester. We have 5 more classes, but we're definitely going to have a short summer session. And then, of course, in the fall, we're going to start the full-blown exam. So that's an option for you guys. So I'm going to go back to my slides. So what I have over here, I'm going to go in and look at the stuff. So what does it mean, generative AI? So I wrote something, and I know you got the link to it as well. So always kind of like doing something with technology that it's a little bit different. So we introduced in Illustrator the AI features. So they are really robust design tools, and they're helping you with inspiration. So when I'm looking at generative AI, I don't look at it as something that takes away from you. I'm looking at it as something that will help you to create something. So what do we have in Illustrator? We have something called Recolor Artwork. We have something called Retype. And then we have something that says text to vector. Some of them are still on a beta phase, like the Retype. So it doesn't really, I mean, it works, but sometimes you're going to say, well, it's not working all the way because we're still checking it out. Text to vector is really, really awesome. And they're going to try to make it even better and better. And generative recolor is really going to help you to create different colors in Illustrator. So in this workshop, we'll introduce you to the features in Illustrator to help you speed up the workflow and create content quicker. I see you guys smiling, and let's start. So for today, you do not need even the files that I sent you. I sent you 2 files. You guys don't need it. You can use it only if you want it, but you can create your own stuff, or you just can watch me while I'm doing it and then listen to the recording and kind of doing it again. So one of the things I want to talk about is about the generative AI in general, what it does. And then you see Adobe came up with something called Adobe Firefly. And within Adobe Firefly, we have the generative AI for Photoshop and Illustrator. And maybe in the future, we're going to have it in other applications as well. So in Illustrator, we have generative AI. that it's called text to vector. And then the images that you see here or the shapes that you see here, I did not create. I actually told the machine what I want to do. And then I have something called Generative Recolor that I changed the color of the radian symmetry that I made. And you can see different kind of colors that you have there. This is a little overview about Adobe Firefly. So you can see you have Adobe Firefly in Illustrator and in Photoshop. You have Adobe Firefly in Adobe Express and Adobe Firefly in all the web application that we have, which is Illustrator and Photoshop on the web, and of course, Adobe Express. So a few weeks ago, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, I did kind of the same seminar, but I did it for Photoshop, and today we're going to do it for Illustrator. I have some important links over here, so you can see and click. You have the Adobe blog that's talking about the latest features in Adobe Illustrator, everything about generative AI, and everything about Sensei, which they have, and they call it a machine learning tools. Because some of the tools that you have in Illustrator and in Photoshop, they're not completely AI, they are machine learning tools. So any questions so far before we dive into Illustrator and start looking at the magic of generative AI? Okay, I can see nobody is raising your hand. So let's start. So one of the first questions that I'm going to ask you, how many people using Illustrator already? Because you do need to know some stuff with Illustrator. So it is kind of important. If you never used Illustrator, just watch me and see what I'm doing. If you used Illustrator, of course, it's going to help you as a little bit better. So what does it mean? The UI, you know where to find everything. So I'm going to start a little bit, kind of giving you a little overview what's going on there, and at least let you find where do you find the UI features. Also, before we start, we're going to talk about what is kind of program is Illustrator. Anybody has a clue? I see everybody smiling, so it's okay. If you don't want to answer, that's fine with me. I understand that people don't like to talk a lot of time with these questions. Illustrator is a vector-based software. It is resolution independent. So everything that we're doing is based on shapes and vector and anchor points. And then this is why, in a way, you don't even need some of my files, only if you want them, because in 1 minute, you can create something and then start working with generative AI. And that's why it's so easy to show some stuff in Illustrator. So I'm going to go into the icon, say AI over here, and I'm inside Illustrator workspace. And I do have a certain workspace. And then my workspace here is AI ACP. Basically, this is the workspace that I am using in my certification class, because we do teach certification class in Illustrator, and it is on Thursday from 4 to 6. So if some of you are curious, you don't have to stay for the whole class, but you can come visit us and see what we're doing with the certification classes and what topic are we doing. It'll be fun. It's a 2-hour class and no commitments for you guys. We're going to start a new session again in the fall. So this is Illustrator over here. So I am going to open something. File and open. I'm going to go to my side favorites, and I'm going to click on March 7 AI, and you can see I have some assets over here, and I'm going to double click on the assets, and you can see I have something that says text to vector AI. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll start with the symmetry first. And I'm going to click open. So basically what I have over here, yes, I did create that in Illustrator. It does look complex, right, to you guys? It is not complex at all. I basically use transformation tools to create this radial symmetry, and then I duplicated it, and then you can see I changed the colors over here. So let's check it out before we're diving into generative colors. I'm going to go to my swatches panel. And this is what I have in my swatches panel right now. And you can see that I have a lot of groups that I created ahead of time. And then I might go to the flyout menu of the swatches panel, and I'm going to say select all unused, because maybe I don't have some colors. I want to see colors that I didn't use, and I'm just going to click here and look what you have over here. This is actually the colors that I used over here. I can make groups from the colors that I have. I can also go back here and do select all, Command A, like you do in Photoshop, and I can say add selected colors. And then maybe I'll get more colors, but I didn't get more colors. This is what I have. So in Illustrator, you can go to your swatches panel. I'm going to delete that. And it's really great to create some kind of grouping. And I have a friend that he is like an Illustrator guru, and he used to tell us, make a folder for, or kind of a group for the colors, so they're not going to feel lonely. They're going to feel they have a home. So I can go in, let's say, to one color and hold on the shift key. And then I'm going to click and I'm going to have one group. I'm not naming it right now, but I can actually click on any colors that I want. If they're not next to each other, I'm going to hold down the command key. And now you can see I'm getting all the browns, and I'm going to make another group. Of course, you can save it and name it if you want. Now I'm going to go to the yellows. And then I'm clicking, and purposely I'm doing only 5 colors within the group. So when I have 5 colors within the group, I can go in and click on the icon all the way down to send it to my current CC library or Creative Cloud library. So if I'm going to go into the Creative Cloud library, it's probably going to open the library that I used yesterday. So it is okay. I'm going to click over here, and maybe I'm going to go in and create a new library. So I'm going to go in and create a new library. And then I'm going to call it USC Seminars 2024. And I'm going to click create. So this is my current library at the moment. So if I'm going to go to this folder, and I'm going to click at the bottom icon that says add selected swatches and color groups to the current library, you can see it is in the current library. What if I wanted to go to another library, groups here? I can click over, and it is going to tell me I can't. So I can also only bring over to the library everything up to 5 colors. If it's more than 5 colors, I can't do that. So it is fine with me. So really, let's just talk about Illustrator in general. So what did I do over here? I created some kind of a symmetry, and I might create a simple symmetry with you guys. I went to the symmetry. So this is my symmetry over here. And if I'm looking at the layers panel, I can see that I have something that said shapes, circle, colors, and everything together. It's basically in the same area, and it is all the way here. I can start looking at what I have. Then I have small symmetry, and then I have original colors. So let's look at the default, and then we're going to go to generative AI. So I'm going to zoom into that. And in Illustrator, just a suggestion, if you did not use it before, the layer panel in Illustrator is really only for organization. I am using layers, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And another suggestion is, if you have other colors, let's say I have the shapes, I want to lock the stuff I'm not going to use. Why? Because the shapes have a mind of their own. If you click on them by mistake, they're just going somewhere. I only also going to go and lock the small symmetry that I colored, and I'm going to go to the original symmetry. I'm going to go to the flyout menu of the layers panel and do panel options, and I'm going to make the thumbnails a little bit bigger. Why? Because I want you to see what's going on in here. So basically, this is what I have inside. Each group that I have, each one is a group. I grouped it, and I have it the same color because I basically went in and duplicated it. So I'm going to go into the first one. And then one thing that you can do before doing generative AI, I'm going to go all the way up to my control, and it says recolor artwork. I also have my properties panel, which will help you to do a lot of stuff. And then all the way down, when it says quick actions, it will say recolor. So I'm going to go and click recolor. And then I told it by default to open the advanced recolor artwork on launch. I'm going to go and cancel it out. And I'm going to do again recolor. And then I'm just going to go back here and click OK. And now I'm going to go into recolor artwork in a minute. So I'm going to say recolor. And that's what I wanted you to see. This is the default recolor artwork that you get. It is actually a small recolor one that you have. And then it tells you here to recolor. It tells you the library that you want to do. You can choose libraries of colors. So I can go in and choose libraries of colors. And then I can go in and click on a theme anywhere that I want. And I'm just going to go in and change the little area here. And in a minute, you can see that it is actually changes based on the colors that I have over here. I can go back here and unlink it. And then I can go and move color by color. So this is basically what I can do over here and make it darker and lighter to work with it together. And then the colors are automatic colors. And then if you click here, depending how many colors you're going to have, it's all the colors. And if I click OK, this is what I have. Do you see I changed the colors over here? So now if I'm selecting these colors, this symmetry, I'm going to go into my swatches panel, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add the colors to my swatches. So I'm going to say add selected colors, and look at that. All the new colors are showing up over here. That's okay. But now we're going to look at the area because I have some grouping already. So I'm going to go in and select the second one. And this time, I'm going to go in for my control all the way up. If you don't see your control, go to Window and bring your control. That's not there for every workspace. It is going to be automatically only with Essential Classic. So if you are in Essential Classic, you will see the controls there. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to say recolor artwork. But in this case, I'm going to say I want the advanced options. So I'm going to click on the advanced option, and then I can go in the advanced option and I can go in and save prominent colors if I want. And that's the advanced option. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell myself I always want to work with the advanced option. So you see what I clicked here, open advanced recolor artwork on launch. And then you have generative color. We're just going to go to it in a second. Right now, we're doing the handmade colors that we have. So I'm going to move it a little bit so you can see the options where it's going to change. And I have two options over here. I have assign color and I have edit color. If I go to assign colors, I can actually assign already the group that I have. And this is why I like to work with groups. I can also assign group 2. I can also assign group 3. So let's say I assign group 2. And when I have it over here, I'm going to click on the group icon. And now I have another group based on what I did. And then also I can go into the color, that's automatic colors that I have. The preset is color library, single color, 2 color, and 3 colors. So I'm going to go in and say 3 colors, maybe from different kind of swatches that I have. And then if I go back here and click OK, look what I'm getting right now. I'm having only 3 colors over here, and I can click over here and I'm going to get the group of the colors that I have inside. So if I click OK, it's there. That's it. So I'm going to go to the next one. Now you'll see the recolor artwork shows up in advance right away. Sorry. And then I'm going to go to edit. So when you go to edit, and I'm going to have to move it a little bit so you can see right away in front of you the symmetry that's going to change. And then if I'm linking it and I'm going to go around it, it's going to give me a different kind of colors over here. I can also click inside, and this is what you call in Illustrator harmony rules. So it's going to tell you, do you want to change anything from the harmony rules? Maybe left complement. Maybe you want to go back here and change something from the analog. If I do that, and I'm going to click, basically this is what you get over here. I'm going to go back here and then going to click on different kind of stuff here. And then I'm just going to go in and assign it a little bit different. And I'm going to make a group to it. So you can see it's almost endless and every time that you want. And if you don't want it, you can reset and it goes back to the entire color that you have here. Sorry. And I can go and do that. So this really works for me when I want to create my own color, my own decisions, and maybe some client giving me the colors already, and I'm creating a group there, and I'm doing whatever I want based on that. So what does it mean now, generative recolor? And you really need to know how generative color works in order to do that. So I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to select that. It's really great to zoom in and to see the stuff that you have. And I'm going to go, and maybe this time, I'm just going to go back here and say recolor. And I get the recolor over here. And this time, I want to go to generative recolor. Sorry. And now we're going to look at what Illustrator gives you as a suggestion. So they do sample prompts over here. I'm going to go into the first one, and this is salmon sushi. Looks great. It is 1:30 now. Some of us are really hungry. Will be great to have salmon sushi right now, right? Yeah, absolutely. But look at this. It looks at the sum and the prompt, and then it shows me variation. So that's going to be one variation. This one can be another variation. That's going to be another variation. That's going to be another variation over here. So basically, when I have the variation over here, I also go back now to my advanced, and I'm going to click over here, and I get the variation that I got from here already. So let's do another one. And then we're going to create something together, and then we're going to use that. So I'm going to go to recolor, and I'm going to go recolor generative, And you can see, we're gonna look at the prompts that they give you. They have sandy stone beach over here, and then it's going to go in and gives you something. And really what you get is some kind of different colors. And by the way, you can copy, paste, go to the same one and click on it again and get the generative color that you have. Let's check out another one that you have. I'm going to click over here, faded emerald. Let's see what we're getting right now. So they're giving you ideas to faded emerald city over here. And look what I have over here. Whoa. So I do have some variation here. And I have the Emerald City over here. And then Emerald City, different kind of faded that you have there. And then when you hover over it, it is going to tell you which one of the generative AI you kind of used over here. So you can see. So I'm going to go in and do something else. I'm just going to go and play. And if you want to give me any prompt, that's okay too. Just scream it out loud. I'm just going to go in and say, ice cream sundae with a cherry on top. Or maybe I'm going to go and generate. So I can put any kind of prompt that I have here, and the prompt will generate the color for me. So I'm going to go back here and see generate. And in a second, I'm going to see my next one. And then I'm looking at that, and this one is my ice cream sundae. This one also is another kind of ice cream sundae. And you can say good result, bad result, and edit the selected color if you want to go and do that. So I'm going to go back here to the good result. I might tell them good result, and they're going to ask you to go in. I would use the result in my project, yes, no, or whatever you want. They want to ask you why. They really want to ask you because they are still testing it. So I'm just going to go back here, and then I'm going to go back here and click and submit my feedback, and it is okay. You don't have to do that. I usually don't even pay attention to it, but I do it right now. So now over here, what you can do is see more option and say select edit colors. So now you can go back here and look what it brings you. So after the prompt that you did, you still can go here. And this is why I kind of wanted you to look at the recolor artwork ahead of time to see how it works without generative color. Does that make sense? If you have any questions, please ask me. I know it's pretty easy and pretty fun, and we're going to go and look and do some other stuff with it in a minute. We're also going to use it in the other part of the generative AI while we work. So if I'm going to go into the advanced options, I'm going to go in and add the colors that I have here, and I can go again to generative AI and start working with it. And I can go in and say the color library, and based on which color library you want to work. Let's say I want to work with the fruit library at the moment. So now look what I have. This one is the fruit library that I have in Illustrator. And then I'm just going to go back here and click OK. So now if we're looking at the swatches panel, you start having a lot of colors. And that's what you saw before, a lot of the colors that I have there, because you can start accumulating colors. In Illustrator, the color are file-based. So if I'm saving the file, it will save it with these colors. And then I can decide if I want to eliminate some colors or bring some other colors. And then you're going to ask me, can I do it manually? Absolutely, I can do everything manually. Every time. I can go in just to the green, and then I'm going to go back here and look at that. I'm going to say same, and I'm going to say fill color. So I can see only the fill color over here, and it might be over here in the other fill color. and I'm gonna go in and make that into red. So I just made that manually. So I can go to my group selection tool or the rec selection tool, and everything can be manually, or you can do it with Recolor Artwork or Generative AI. So you can see I made it over here. I have different kind of colors, and that's where you see all the colors that you have here, because this is what I use for generative AI. I'm going to select it one more time, and I'm going to say Recolor Artwork, and then I'm going to go to generative colors, and then I'm just going to go and do another prompt, and I'm going to say green flowers in the desert. I don't know. And then I'm going to go in and generate. So the more complicated the prompt is, maybe you're going to get more colors, maybe you're going to get more result. It's just a prompt that describing a certain kind of a color, and it takes a moment, and look at that. This is absolutely beautiful. This one all the way down is green flower, another green flower that you have. And I love this time that I have green flower in the desert over here. I can also go back here, add colors to the guide to guide the prompt. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to add these colors over here to guide the prompt over here. So I'm going to go and add this color, and I'm going to choose some kind of and add a color to guide the prompt, and I'm going to go in and generate. So let's say if it is going to give me a different kind of color right now. And you see it is thinking, and the prompt really is working with the colors that I have over here. This is the sample prompt that I can go and have it, but this is the variation that basically based on the color that I went in there. So if I click on red and generate, maybe I'm going to get some kind of reddish look to the prompt that I have. And look at this, I do have it, and absolutely it is cool. And it's all great. And then I'm going to go in and create some kind of a group over here. And the one that I have here, I just went there and created a group. So now I have that, and it's all good. So every time I'm going to get to something, I can go into my properties panel, and that's what the generative AI is hiding by default. Text to vector beta, that's what you have over here. And then in the recolor, you have the recolor. We also have another kind of panel, which is new, and it's the contextual task panel. And then you can see over here, it's going to see beta, recolor. So generate beta or recolor. So I can go back here to recolor artwork right away from the contextual menu and do everything that I want. If it is easier for you when you want to go and work with it, and all the way that you see show the properties, hide bar, reset position, pin the bar position, which is new right now, which is really good, and share some kind of a feedback. So any question about generating colors in Illustrator? Because now if I save it, I'm going to have all this color that I created. Another thing to understand, if I go in and save it and I don't want so many colors, I'm going to say select all unused. So if I'm going to say select all unused, I might get a lot of groups that I didn't use. And you can see now I have less groups. So if I'm going to do file and save as, and then I'm going to save that again, and I'm going to go symmetry number 2. It is going to have the color of symmetry number 2. And then you can see spot colors, and then I'm going to click OK and have that. So let's look at other ideas that we're going to have. I'm just going to do something super small and let you play with it for a minute. So I'm going to go to File and New. I'm going to have, I'm going to make it 11 by 8.5, and I'm going to do one artboard. Really what I'm doing here, this is my artboard. You can see my swatch panel is absolutely different, but I'm going to create a very simple symmetry, not like the one that you just saw. So I'm going to go into my rectangle tool, and I'm just clicking and dragging a rectangle and filling it with red and making it kind of like round rectangle. I'm just going to go into the ellipse and then just go in and create an ellipse. And then while I have the ellipse over here, I'm going to fill it with yellow. I can even play with the opacity all the way up and make that a little bit opacity. So now you can see I have something that looks like that. And then maybe I'm going to select this ellipse, hold on the Option key and make a copy. And then make another copy and make another copy. I just made something super simple in Illustrator. Doesn't even look perfect, but it's okay. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go to Object and Group. And then maybe I want to go in and bring more colors around. So I'm going to click here, and purposely I'm going to bring more colors. I'm going to hold on the Option key, and I'm going to bring another one here and select the two of them, and then just do it here. So I created a very simple kind of object, selecting it again, Object and Group. I don't have so many colors, but I'm okay. I can start doing a radial symmetry. Let me just take the contextual, and I'm going to go back here and pin it to the position. But now, instead of doing the radial symmetry that you saw before that I did with transformation, we'll do something super, super simple. We're going to go to Object and Repeat. And we're going to do Radial Repeat. So that's going to do an immediate transformation over here. And look what I have. If I click on it, I can go in and make a repeat like that, or I can go and make the repeat just like this. So I made already some kind of transformation over here, and then I might go in and create something a little different. And I'm going to go to my star, and then I'm going to create a star in the middle. And then while I have the star over here, I'm going to go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and I'm going to say Pucker and Bloat, and I'm going to make it kind of like a different kind of star looking. So now if I have the two of them, and if I select them together, so I'm selecting everything, I basically can go back here to Object and Repeat and go radial repeat, and look what I'm getting. Something, I'm going to make it a lot smaller, and I'm getting something like that. So now, look what I have over here. So this is my original over here. So if I want to duplicate it, I'm going to hold on the Option key and do a copy, maybe another copy, and maybe another copy. I'm holding down the Option key. And now I'm going to go to Generative Recolor. So I'm going to go into the Generative Recolor over here, and then I'm going to look at recoloring the area that I have. So I want to go in and recolor the area that I have, but I'm going first to go to Object, and I'm going to expand it. And as soon as I'm expanding it, it's not part of generative AI. I mean, not part of the repeat. Now I'm going to go to recolor. And then how do I want to recolor it? With the bright colors that I have, I can assign the colors to it if I want, or I can go back here and kind of work with it while I'm changing it, or I can go to the generative recolor and let's go into a different color that I have over here. And then look what I have. I'm going to select that, select the other one. And you're going to say, I didn't get a lot of changes because some of it, maybe it's part of the repeat again. So I'm going to expand it even more. And now if I go to the recolor, you can see that I have a lot more colors. And if I want to go and then recolor it to the same thing, I can go back here and then just click on it. And now you can see that I get something different. So I made the repeat over here from the object and repeat over there. And then you have to expand it to shapes in order to change the colors, which is cool because the other one took longer. This is a little bit faster. Any questions so far? This is generative AI recolor. Yes, you have to expand. Yes, let me show you. The question was, do you have to expand it and where are you expanding it? So when you're expanding it, why am I expanding it? Because it's still part of the repeat. So now if I click on it, and if I'm looking on the layers panel and then looking at it, this is the radial repeat. The machine doesn't see any anchor point or anything. So I'm going to have to go to object. I'm going to select it, object, and expand. And then I might need to go object and expand it again. And then maybe I might need to do object and expand it again. And I might go object and expand it again. So the more you expand it, the more anchor point you're going to go and see. You can also ungroup it. Now I can go into the recolor. And when I recolor artwork over here, I can go to generative recolor and I can go back here to my prompts. And in a minute, you can see that the repeat is going to go in and change it. Look at that. How beautiful this one is. And what else could I have done with it? If I don't have anything, and that's nothing to do with the subject today, but I can go back here and click OK. I can make that even smaller if I want. And guess what I can do with it later? I can basically go into the brushes and then I create a new brush. And that's going to be a scatter brush. And I can start brushing with it. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do here just from that. Can I copy it and paste it in Photoshop as a smart object and make a brush in Photoshop? Absolutely. So there's a lot of little things that you can do with the stuff that you have, and then with the recolor artwork. And then if it's generative recolor, you can see that it does a lot of stuff for you right away. And if I go back recolor over here, you can see over here that I'm going to, again, you right away can go just to the generative recolor and just have a group. But then you're going to go back here. And now I'm going to say I have yellow submarine. So I'm basically going to get stuff with a yellow submarine, another yellow submarine that I have here. And then if I go back here to the advanced, I can add the colors that I have. And that's the colors that I just got. Does that make sense? Questions? So that was a really nice and legitimate questions over here. And every question is actually legitimate because we wanted to know where we expand. I might go into file and before that, look at my swatches panel. I just added that over here. So if I'm going to go back here and then say add selected colors, I'm not getting, but if I'm going to go to the top one and I'm going to say add selected colors, you can see that I'm going to go in and he added a lot of selected colors over here. So I'm gonna go and save it. I'm gonna see save as, and I'm gonna go back here and I'm going to go and call it repeat. So you see how it's different than working with transformation. Now what I'm doing is let's look at text to vector. So what does it mean? You have to open something. I'm just going to open the one that I have already, but then we're going to create our own stuff. So what do I have now? I have it, I divided it. I created a pattern over here. I then created an object and I created a brush from it. I edited the object a little bit. I added a scene and I added icon reference with or without. So if I'm going to go back to it, and then I'm going to select that. Now let's look at your properties panel. In your properties panel, you have text to vector graphics. And then what I have over here, that tells me what I did before. That was my variation, and my prompt was 4 leaves. I mean, what was my prompt? 4 leaves with 4 colors. This is what my prompt was to start with. And then I ended up putting it together and put it together, and I had different kind of prompt. I have another one over here, and then if I'm looking at that, I can have some other stuff, and then I can go back here and match the stuff that I have and pick styles as a reference as well. So let's start looking at the stuff and doing it actually together. File and new. In here, we're not going to have anything. I'm just going to say 11 by 8.5. And I'm going to go in and create, let's say, 5 artboards. And then you have to create something on the screen because it is vector. So what do I have over here? You have something that says text to vector graphics and the type of the vector graphics that you have. You do have a subject, you do have a scene, you do have an icon, and you do have a pattern. So we're going to do in each one the one that we want. And then in the 5th one, maybe we're going to recolor it. Maybe we're going to go and have a sample colors for it, or maybe you can even go in and have a brush to it. So if I'm going to go into I'm going to go into subject. I'm going to go into my toolbar and I'm going to go into a rectangle tool, and let's say I'm going to do a rectangle. And what kind of subject do you want to do? So I'm looking at that and it says text to vector. And then I'm not picking anything for reference yet. Detail in the vector graphics. Do you want it all the way minimal, all the way complex, or somewhere in the middle? And what prompt that you want to have? Over here, you have sample prompt over here. And the first one that I have is basically black and white line drawing of an eagle in flight on white background. So I'm getting something. And now it's starting kind of like to go in and work for me. So why do I say it is for inspiration? Because maybe you have to do a mood board. Maybe you have to do something for a client. He wants you to do something with birds or eagles or anything. And instead of just going and searching, you're going to go in and say, this is what I want to do. You can say yes or not, or you can go in later and edit it. Does that make sense? And that's why I call it inspiration. So because it's Illustrator, you have to select it. I'm going to zoom into this one. And this is what I have over here. One thing to understand about Illustrator, if I deselect, and I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to go Show Transparency Grid, this is what you have over here. The file itself by default is transparent, and you see I have some kind of white background that maybe I can delete it later for something. So it's good to understand it because I have the white background over here. But I'm going to go in and select it. I'm going to hold down the option. I'm going to make it a little smaller. Hold on the option key and duplicate it. Another thing you're going to ask me, what is the size? It is vector. So it's resolution independent. So we have no problem like in Photoshop. Is it going to be pixelated? What is my PPI? I'm going to like have it fuzzy. No, it's not. I can make it now on a bulletin board somewhere, big one, or I can make it as tiny as a tiny little icon. And this one is another prompt, and I'm going to click, and that's another one that I got. I'm going to go back here, and I'm duplicating it, and I'm looking at the second prompt. So each one that I click, they are share the same prompt that you have, but already now you have different kind of images, shapes. So I can go back here and then I'm going to go in and I made it to make it more complex. And then now I'm trying to generate it. And let's see if I'm going to get something a little bit more complex. So now if I got into the more complex, look at this. It's a little bit different, a little bit different, and a little bit different. So I can see that I get different kind of things. I lost this one, but now this one is basically that. So it's really depending how you want it, complex or not complex. You also go in and match active artboard styles that you have. So if you have some other style that you have there, it will going to go in and match it. So if I'm going to go back here and select that and copy and go back here and paste it, I'm going to go back and match it to an active one. And now I'm going to go and generate. So let's see if I'm going to get something a little bit different. Maybe I'm going to get something a little bit different or maybe not. So look what I'm getting right now. It's taking the active style that I have and then made that into the eagles right now. So look what I'm getting. I'm getting that. And then now I'm just going to go to another eagle and I'm going to go to another eagle. So I'm basically getting that with this. Awesome, right? Unbelievable, great. So now you're going to say, well, I don't really like it. I kind of want to do something else with it. It looks kind of like weird, especially this eagle. Kind of want to work with it a little bit different. So I'm going to go into view and show transparency grid, and I'm going to zoom into it. And now I'm going to go into my direct selection tool. And then if I go in and delete the white area, look what I got. And I select here and delete. I got rid of some of the white area that I have. However, some areas that were white before, they're actually transparent over here. And I can deal with it with another way of recoloring it in something else. But I can go back here and just select the black and then select and hold down the shift key. And then if I want to go back here to this guy right now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to any color. And now you can see that the eagle has a different color right now because that's what I selected. I usually like to go in and create different colors and put them one on top of each other. And there's a lot of way to colorize and take stuff with it. But basically, I got this eagle and I can do stuff with it. So this one is basically just kind of the text to vector. And in this case, the text to vector and this one was actually a subject. I can go into the subject right now, and then I can go in and do another prompt. So the other prompt, let's say we want to have winter leaves with spring colors. And I'm going to generate that. And at the moment, I am in the subject still. I didn't go away from the subject. So you can do different kind of stuff. And look what I have over here. So this is what I got here. Absolutely kind of cool. And look at this. I have dots, I have another one, and I have another one. So can I go to that right now? Let's say I'm going to go to one with more colors. And then I can zoom into it. Can I go to this one and do recolor artwork or generative colors? Absolutely. And this is why I wanted first to do the generative color and then go back to work with that while we're having. So if I'm going to go into this one over here, and then I'm going to say recolor and generative recolor, and then I'm going to say trippy disco lights. It will take the stuff and then it will create disco lights from it. And then what I'm going to do with it, I'm actually going to create a little trick over here because I want to show you some ideas. How do you want to go and work with it? So I'm going to hold on the Shift key. And then I'm going to double click and double click. So you can see I can isolate just one leaf. I'm going to copy, Command C, edit and copy, double click to unisolate and edit and paste. So this is what I have right now, a leaf. I want to go to my swatch panel, make the swatch panel a little bit bigger. So I'm going to say large thumbnail, and I'm going to drag and drop the leaf over here to create some kind of a pattern. And I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to go to my next artboard. And in this case, I'm just going to go and create a frame. And then I'm going to fill it with the texture. And this is the texture that I just created, a pattern from that. And once I have that, I can change it. I'm going to double click on it. And that's going to bring me to the pattern editor, not AI, just a pattern editor. So what I'm trying to show you is AI is wonderful, but you still need to know Illustrator. That's why I asked you, did you use Illustrator before? Because this is leveraging AI with Adobe Illustrator, because we need to know how to treat Adobe Illustrator and work with it while we use the AI tools. So what am I doing now? I'm going to look in the pattern options. And I'm going to click over here. This is the size of the pattern. And then I can go in and make it a little bit bigger. So you can see here, there's more space. Now I can also go back here and I make it, let's say, X by column. So you can see it's going to have a pattern that's going to look like that. And then I can do different ones. I can do X by row, and I have it here. But I'm just going to go brick by row over here. While I have it over here, I'm just going to go in and create another circle over here. And then I'm going to go in and fill it with red. And I'm going to have another circle, and I'm going to fill it with yellow. So you can see I have a different kind of pattern over here. So what I want to do is save as a copy. And I can call it new pattern. Number 2. Click OK. And then if I wanted it not to overwrite the other one, I'm just going to hit cancel. And look what I have over here. I'm going to zoom out. And this is the new one that I just made. And this is seamless pattern. The good news about Illustrator is if I'm going to go and double click on the scale tool And I want to go and scale that 200. But I want to go and scale it not as an object. I'm just going to scale the pattern. So look what happened. I'm just scaling down the pattern that I have over here. I can also go back here to my rotate tool. I'm going to go in and rotate it, and look what's rotating right now. Just the pattern is rotated. And of course, if you copy, you can have pattern on top of pattern. You can go later, go back here and play with the opacity, with the new one, or in an overlay mode, or you can go in and play with opacity. And then if you go and even transform it again, it's just going to do what you did, and you have some kind of a new pattern over here. So this is a pattern that you are creating. Now we're going to look at the difference over here. To create a pattern, I'm going to go into the objects and putting it here. And I'm going to go into the next artboard. And I'm going to go to a rectangle and create, I said rectangle, but I'm using an ellipse. I'm going to do a rectangle over here. I'm going to say no fill. And now I'm going to go in to the generative AI beta. And in this case, what I want to go and do, I'm going to go back here and decide what do I want to go in and create the generative one. And I'm going to go and say pattern. So they're giving you pattern over here already as a sample. And then you can see it takes a moment to kind of to work with it and play with the stuff. And it is thinking, I know. And you guys can try with anything that you want, and I can walk around and see what you did. But it's basically whatever you do, it is going to be kind of the right answer to everything, but because it's basically a simple way of creating a pattern without knowing how to create the pattern anyway. So this is the pattern that I have. There's another one. There's another one. There's one that I used to do all the time. And then you can say new pattern edit to the swatches. You can go back here and edit the pattern. And now I'm going to go back here. And basically, this is the pattern that you have. So I can select this one, or I'm going to select the yellow. And then I'm going to go back here to my properties, and I'm going to change that to maybe dark brown. And then I'm just going to go back here, and then I'm going to click done or save as a copy, and then click OK and click cancel. And look what I have over here. If I'm zooming out and selecting it, this one is the old one, and this one is the new one. And you can see that I created stuff with brown hearts over there, and it just did it. It basically didn't do it everywhere because they are not the same. So I just took the one that has another heart on top of it. But what if I wanted to go back here? It says colorful summer flowers. Let's see what we're going to do, and maybe we're going to be a little bit more creative. So I'm going to say green monsters with yellow balloons. I have no idea. I am very bad in creating prompts. My imagination is, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then I just don't do it. And this is what I'm doing actually right now. So it is going in and let's see what we're getting. And I'm getting some kind of variation. And right away, look what I have. I do have my little monsters over here. Or what did I say? Yeah, I did say monsters. And I'm going to go into different monsters and I'm going to go into a different monsters. The good news with the stuff that you do in vector, even if you don't like something, if you know how to edit it in Illustrator and edit something else with it, it will basically, you can go in and change anything that you have. So if I'm going to go back here, and then it is going directly to my swatches panel. I'm going to double click and look what you're getting over here. And what happens usually, you get it kind of like in a big way. I'm going to go back here and decide on the size. And maybe now I want to have some space between them because I want to go and have some white space. Why not? So I made it a little bit different. And then I'm going to go back here and click Save as a Copy. And then do that. And now if I'm going in and clicking on that, I did a pattern that looks a little bit different. So it is different because I added some space. So the pattern that you're making from the generative AI, it's a little bit different because it takes it as a block while you have it. Let's see if you have something and then see what else you have. So you can go and have it just as a panel over here and just gonna go in and work with it as a standalone panel. So that's what I do a lot of time. I'm gonna go and bring it over and now I'm working with the standalone beta graphics here. So it doesn't really worry me about the patterns that you have. So again, if I click and have it here, I can change the color. So you can see a little bit the difference between the pattern that we have here and the pattern that I created with the generative AI. I'm going to zoom in and let's do another one. I'm going to click and drag. And of course, because I still have it as a fill, it will fill it with the patterns that I have. I'm going to say none. And now I'm going to go into a scene. So what do we have with a scene over here? It giving you some kind of ideas over here, a prompt to a scene. So the first one is hand-drawn food elements, shapes, and duties, trendy stuff. The second one is magical campfire. I'm going to do the magical campfire. This is so cool because you can do so many things with it. I cannot tell you how much I'm playing with it, and I can tell you what else I do with it later. So this is a campfire. This is another campfire that I have. And then I can go back here and then pick a style from a reference. So I'm going to go back here and then select the style and add it to your style picker. And then I'm going to go and generate. And you can play with it more and more all the time because it is super, super important. Kind of like the more you play, the more things you're going to discover. And look what I have over here. It is a little bit different because what did I sample over there? I actually sampled the monsters over here. So I got some kind of colors of the monsters. But I'm going to go back here and then resetting it. And then I might go back here to the variation. But I'm going to go into the scene again. And then I want to go in and create some kind of, I'm going to go to the scene. And then I'm going to go in and not make it so complex. And I'm going to go in and bring it here. then I do have this one that I maybe want to work with. So this is the scene that I have over here. I'm going to double click, and look what I'm doing. I'm double clicking, and this is what I have. So this can be like a scene that has a campfire with a tent. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to double click again to unisolate. And I'm going to go and actually even delete it and paste the new one. So what I really want to show you here, that I can do different kind of things for something that has a scene, and now it's not a scene anymore. I can actually make it into a brush. I can also go back and say recolor. And then if I go into generative color, I'm going to go in and make it a terracotta color over here. So it's going to look a little bit different. It's almost the same. So basically, it's really not the good one. So the sample prompt, I'm going to do it really different. Maybe like some kind of a disco one. And then I can do from it few things. One thing, I can go back here, I can select it and drag and drop it, and I have a beginning of a pattern that I'm going to do as a handmade pattern. The other thing that I can do, I can go into my symbol panel, and I'm going to go and create a symbol. So I'm going to call it tent. And another thing I can do, I'm going to go to the brush panel, and I'm going to say new brush, and I'm going to make it as a scatter brush. And I'm going to call that tent as well. So what I did is, I want to show you how to start being a little more creative and not just do what you have. The first thing that I did, I just created just a scene. And from the scene, I isolated part of it, recolored the artwork, copied the area, and made it into a symbol and a brush and a pattern. So now we are going to go in and work with that on this artboard. So I'm going to go to this artboard right now. And the first thing I want to do is I want to start creating something. So I might go back here and create some rectangle on the side. And then I'm going to go to my swatch panel and just click. And this is what I'm getting right now. I got some kind, and I'm going to go and put this one here. I got some kind of a tent. And if I double click on it and select it, I'm going to go into the entire tent. It's recommended to group it. And I'm going to select that and make it a little smaller. And maybe I'm going to go in and have another tent. And yes, recolor. Why not? If you go back here and recolor it, the new tent looks a little bit different. And then if I go back here, and I'm going to go back to this one, I'm going to go recolor, and I do the regular recolor right now. But remember, I got the object from generative AI, and I forgot to go back here, and I'm going to go and recolor, and then I'm just going to go in. I lost the original, which is okay. And now what I'm doing is I'm saving it as a copy, and then I'm going to go back here, and now I'm going to go in, and maybe this is what I want to have in there. So I'm going to go in and taking this and holding down the Option key and bringing it to the other side. And now I might go back here and double click on the scale tool, and I'm going to go in and scale that 50, but I'm just going to scale the transformation. So maybe I should go in and do that. And now I'm going to copy this one. So I'm going to click, And I have to go to the selection tool, of course, and I'm deleting. So now I'm going to go to this, and then I can do something else. And that's getting into deeper into Illustrator a little bit, but that's okay. Because if you're curious and wanted to do a class in complete Illustrator, I'm just going to go in and entice you a little bit. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to go into my appearance panel. And really what I'm doing is I'm going to click on the fill, and I'm going to say add new fill. And then the bottom fill, I'm just going to go in and fill it with a different color, maybe with some kind of light green. So now if I wanted to go in, I know you have a lot of panels on the screen right now. I'm going to hold on the Option key and go in and add another copy. So I have a beginning of something, and maybe I want to go in and play with it a little bit. I can add to it actually a stroke if I want. So each one I can add a stroke. And then I can go into the panel, and I'm going to make it maybe a dark orange stroke. And I'm going to make it size, let's say 3. And then if I don't want to see it kind of on the sides, I'm going to align it to the outside. And basically what I have is the stroke goes to outside. And if I go into view and trim view, basically this is what you're going to see. You just see that over here without the other stroke on the side, which is really kind of cool. And if I go again to view and untrim it, this is what I have right now. And I'm going to go to my artboard panel and move it together. So you can see it just as a standalone. And then maybe I'm going to go and move it here. And now I'm working just with this artboard right now. So I'm going to zoom to it. And I'm going to work just with this artboard at the moment. So now I can go in and add other stuff to it. So I have the pattern that I created. And basically the pattern I created some kind from a scene that I made. And then I made that into a shape, and then maybe into a brush or anything else. But we didn't finish it, so I'm just going to go again. And I'm going to go back here and do another rectangle. And I'm going to go to my text vector again. And the one that we didn't do, we did the icon. We didn't do an icon. So now I'm going to go in and do a simple icon, which I could have done it before. But look at that. I have an icon of a butterfly. So this butterfly can create, I can make that into a brush. I can make that into a symbol. I can make that into different butterfly. So I have another butterfly over here and another butterfly over here. So let's say I like this butterfly right now. So I'm going to go in and zoom out. And then I'm just going to duplicate the butterfly. Maybe I want to go back to this butterfly and then go in and recolor and give it a generative recolor to faded emerald. And now I'm going to go back here, and you can see that I have a different kind of a butterfly over here. I can go in, select the 2 butterfly, hold on the Option key, and then I can make another one. And once again, maybe I can do another kind of butterfly. So you can see different kind of butterflies. I can go into each one of them, and I can decide that I can make it into the swatch panel, and then I can go and have it here. Let's see if I can make a brush from it. And then I'm going to go in and create a new brush, and then I'm going to say scatter brush. And now it tells me I cannot make a scatter brush. Why I cannot make a scatter brush with it? I'm going to click OK. I might go into a symbol and create a new symbol. All good. Butterfly symbol is still there. So why couldn't I create a scatter brush right now? I couldn't create a scatter brush because this butterfly has actually gradient in it. You don't know, but whatever somebody did it has gradient in it, and you cannot have a gradient within a brush in Illustrator. So I'm gonna go to Object, and I'm gonna do Expand. It might not do the right thing for me. I'm gonna go to Object and Expand again. And then I'm going to try to make that into a brush. And now I have a brush that it is butterfly. And I can start working with it. So these guys, I cannot do it. But the other new one, I can make a brush from it. So I'm going to go in and move it over. And now I want to do something with my brush. So I can go to my brush tool. I can click on the brush panel and click on the butterfly. And I'm just going to go in and draw something. And look what I got. This one is a scatter brush that I created it with the things that I have, with the icons that I have right now. And now I can go in and just play with it. So I'm going to double click. And then I can see maybe I want to have it a little smaller. Maybe I want to have it random small. So one is this size and the other one is a different size. So you can see I'm randomizing the sizes of the butterfly that I have. So each one is a little different. And this one is a little bit different here. And I can go in and space it. And I can also randomize the spacing if I want. I might make it really small and have the spacing. I can also go in and scatter it, and I can also tell it to rotate it relative to the page or relative to the path. And I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to apply it. And basically, this is what I have, and I can start drawing with it. So each time I click with the brush, I can also do, but by the way, each time I click like this, it's another kind of brush stroke that I have. But I can also decide that I want the butterfly to be different kind of colors without changing the original color. So basically, the brushes are going to recolorize the color of the brush based on the color of the stroke. So I might go into, let's say, a line. I'm going to make it, let's say, 2 points. The first line, I made it orange. I'm going to do another line, and I'm going to go in and make the other line black. I'm going to duplicate and create another line. And then I'm going to go into the stroke and made it red. And I'm going to duplicate it again. And I'm going to go to the stroke and I'm going to make it purple. And I want the line to be aligned. So they are basically aligned to one side, and you can see the okay. And then if I want them to go in and spread okay, you can see I have 4 perfect lines. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go to the brush, and I'm going to click on the butterfly. It is still my green butterfly. But look what I'm doing now. I'm double clicking, and I'm going to change the method of the colorization to tint based on the stroke color. And then I'm going to apply it, and look what you're getting. So all of a sudden, you got a butterfly that looking a little bit different based on the color of the stroke that you have. If I'm going to go into this stroke, and then, because it's really like the orange, I'm going to make it blue or dark blue. Look what I have. It looks a little bit different. If I'm going to double click on it, and then I'm going to say tint and shade, and I'm going to apply it, look what I'm getting. Does that make sense? So really what I did now, I'm using my generative AI to create something that maybe it will take me longer before that. Or maybe I don't know how to draw a butterfly. Or maybe I know how to draw a butterfly and not perfect. Or maybe I want suggestions on different kind of butterflies that I want to work with. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to a presentation mode. Illustrator has a presentation mode, so I can start looking at the mess that I just did with you guys. So the first one would basically, I think it was an object. And then I went to the other one that was a pattern. And then I had the scene, which I don't have it here, but from the scene, I took a little object, and then I created my own pattern, and then I created my own brushes. And over here, I have my patterns again. So you can see the stuff that you have. And this is the pattern that I had from before. So again, that's a lot of stuff that we can go in and work with. I'm just going to go to another one. I'm going to go in, maybe I'll save it. Why not? I'm going to do save as, and then I'm going to go back here and call it Gen Objects. And I'm going to go and click OK. One thing that I want you to understand, no matter what you do, these guys are some kind of object. So what does it mean? If I'm going to go into my tent over here, and then I'm going to select the tent, it was actually a symbol. So I'm going to go and break the link for a minute. And now look what I have. I'm going to go in and double click, and I have just this area. Somebody drew it just like that. It's okay if somebody drew it like this, but I can go in and make some changes, because the way they drew it, they didn't draw a complete tent. They basically did that, and the machine figures out where everything is. But I can double click again, and then I'm gonna have some kind, the black feel. So if I'm gonna go into a different color, this is how it is. So if I double click on this one, it is going to be the different color. I'm just gonna need, so I can go in and double click. And now I'm going to go in and make that a different color. So you can start looking at the stuff and start really kind of changing it, or actually recolor the stuff that you have, or make it completely your own if you really don't like the way the stuff is there for you. So can you create something? Absolutely. Let's look at a way of creating something together. So I'm going to do to file a new. And I know you need to know some kind of Illustrator a little bit, but we're going to play with it. And I know some of you know. I'm going to go in and have one artboard. And I'm going to go in and make that 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to go in and say flyer for a cafe. So I'm just going to make it up. We're going to make a flyer for maybe a cafe over here. And then we're just going to make it simple, just using generative fill and generative AI text to object and recolor, generative recolor. So I can go into just a background. So I'm going to go in and create a background. And I can go in and just do a color over there. So I'm going to go to the flyout menu. and I'm going to look at the color. And if these are not the color that I want, I might put some color over here, but maybe I'm going to make it just a lighter color. I can also go in and maybe create some kind of a stroke. And then I'm going to do it size 2 and align it to inside. I might do something else with it a little bit later. And once I have the fill, I'm going to go in and double click on it, make it into a global color. And then I'm going to go to my colors and I'm going to tint it for like actually 70% or maybe even 60. So it's kind of the same color, but it's a little tinted. And then once I have that, I'm going to go to my swatches panel and I'm going to drag and drop it. So I have it. I can do a gradient. For now, I'm not doing even a gradient. So I'm just going to go in and say, go to the type, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to say grand opening. Making it up, right? Simple. I'm going to do a grand opening to maybe a cafe. So I'm just going to go to my type, the grand opening. I have some kind of a typeface, and I'm going to make that, let's say 60. Not sure I like actually the typeface, but it's okay. And I'm going to go and maybe, I don't know, making it kind of orange. No, I don't like that, but it's okay. We'll be okay with it. And I'm making it a little bit better. And I'm just going to make it like this. So what is the grand opening? It's going to be maybe cupcake cafe or dessert cafe or anything that we have. So I'm just going to go back here, duplicate that, and then I'm just going to go in and call it Cupcake Cafe. If I'm not sure I like this typeface over here, I can go back here, highlight that, and I'm going to choose Arial or maybe even Skya, which I don't like, but I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to go to make the tracking a little bit. So it is going to go back here. And then if I want to go in and make sure that I did Cupcake Cafe okay, I can go to edit and spelling. And then I'm going to go and check the spelling. And I'm going to start. And I guess this is how you are doing cupcake. So it's all good. But now the problem that I have, I don't have cupcakes, any kind. So I want to show somebody. So, and you in doubt, you're going to go in to the generative AI that you have. And basically you are going to go in here. And then I'm just going to go to maybe icon. And I'm going to say in the icon, let's say I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go and create a prompt. And I'm just going to say no fill. And then over here, I'm going to go in and I say small cup cake with a cherry on top and a gold ballerina. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I just did it. You know when they have a birthday party and they put a ballerina on top of a cupcake? Yeah. I know. You're smiling, I'm smiling. Well, oops, not very. Look at that. I have one cupcake and then another cupcake and another cupcake. So that's kind of silly, but I can use that to a cupcake cafe right now. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to say cupcake with a cherry. I don't want the ballerina. And I'm going to go in and move it. And I can make it friendlier or not friendlier and everything. So now all of a sudden I have something that looks a little bit better. So look at that. I have this one. I have another one over here, which I really like. And I have another one over here. So I can go in and leave this one over here and then duplicate it and look at the second one. And the second one's going to be this one. And I'm going to make the second one very, very small. And I'm going to go to my area over here. And then basically I'm going to go in and make that as a pattern. So I'm going to go in cupcake with a cherry. And I'm going to generate it. And yes, it takes some time, depending how you're working with them. And this is going to be a pattern that it's going to be generated from text to image. I mean, text to vector, sorry. So I'm going to go back here and I have that. And I'm going to go in to my area over here. And I'm going to go and click on it. So this is what I got right now. I'm absolutely not crazy about it. I have another one over here. There's a tiny little cupcake cafe over here, but I can go in and absolutely change it. So basically, I can go in to my appearance panel. And then if I go to my appearance panel, basically I'm going to go to the opacity, and then I'm going to take the opacity all the way down to very, very light. And then I'm going to go in and say add a new, or say maybe duplicate the item. So I have the duplication. I'm going to go to the bottom one. I'm going to change the opacity. It's going to be 100. But I'm going to go in and change that to the yellow that I had before. And now when I go to my opacity, I can even go to a blending mode, and you can see that the cupcake is basically on top of another color. If I'm going to go in and check the opacity a little bit different, look at that. Can I go in and change the stuff? Absolutely. I can double click, and then I'm going to go in and just transform the cupcake and click OK. So I basically went in, I have a cupcake in the middle, and I do have also some kind of a texture underneath it if I want to use it. I don't have to use it if I don't want to go and do that. I can, if I don't want to use it, it's all good. It is in your appearance panel. So you're basically going to go back here, and then I'm going to go into my fill. And then you can see over here, I have a stroke and I have a fill over here. And that's what I have over there. I can go back here and change it to this fill. So again, I don't have to have it if I don't want, and now I have something that looks like this. But remember, I had a stroke, so I can go to this cupcake, and I can go and make the cupcake into actually a brush. And then I'm going to make that into a pattern brush, and it says contains something that I don't want to use, so I can have to go in and expand it. And I might need to go back here and expand it. And then I'm going to go back here. And now I have some kind of a pattern over here. And I click OK. And if I'm going in here and looking at it, basically I'm going to go back here. And I can see that I have some kind of a pattern brush on it. And I don't think I did the right pattern brush. So I'm going to go in and go back here and show the pattern brush. And if I double click on it, it is going to go and fix it. But kind of, I think it made it into a scatter, which is really not kind of good. So I'm going to go and do the spacing. And actually, this brush actually didn't come out so great. So we're going to leave it alone. But anyway, if I don't want to do that, you can see I have a grand opening cupcake cafe. I can go back here and do different kind of cupcakes. So if I feel like having another cupcake, I can go into the properties. I can go back here and look at the cupcake that I had before. I think it was a subject before, or if I clicked on it, maybe it was a subject, or maybe it was an icon. Yes, it was. So I have another one. And then I can duplicate that and have another one over here. So I can start going in and making different colors, different sizes, whatever I want to go in and play with it. I can go in and create something, grand opening for a cupcake cafe. If I want to go and do a pattern, I can do a pattern. If I want to go and make it kind of fun, I'm going to go in and click on the cupcake cafe, and then maybe go in and sample a color and click on the grand opening. And then I can go back here and sample a color. So it's kind of like not as boring over here as the other one that you had. And of course, I can have some information. So I still have the frame over here. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to go back here and make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to click here and I'm going to go back here and have the stroke over here. And for some reason, we don't see the color of the stroke over here. It just tells you that something, and I'm going to go back here. No idea why I got here this color of the stroke. It doesn't actually have the right one. So I'm going to do another one. When you're in doubt, absolutely do another one. And see, it was a glitch over here a little bit. And then the stroke is aligned to the center over here. And that's what I want to have. And then I'm just going to go in and bring it below. So I'm going to go to Object and Arrange and Send to Back. And you start seeing the stuff about the Cupcake Cafe. Of course, you can say, when are you coming? When are you doing? You can just do 4 position only. And I can go back here and you can have something that you write in between. And that's going to be basically information about the Cupcake Cafe that you have over here, and maybe more cupcakes and other stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, but the stuff that you created is basically going to go in and be with the generative fill that you used. Does that make sense, you guys? Just wanted to make sure that all the stages that we went are kind of like explanatory. If I want to go and make the cupcake, I'm going to say add new fill, and I'm going to see if I do have the cupcake over here, and I do think I have the cupcakes. So you see I have it over here, and then I'm just going to go and click on opacity and make it in a screen mode. So you see what I got? I have the cupcakes, but they are just showing you in a screen mode. I can make them in an overlay mode. So I have a yellow cupcake. I can have color burn mode. And they are kind of reading the stuff that I have from before. So I kind of like to have a muted kind of cupcakes that you see. And then, of course, you can go in and make it even with opacity. And you can see now that you have some kind of flyer that you can start working with. Any questions, you guys, to everything that we did today? Just to cap it out, we went in and did some stuff with generative colors, and then we also went here, and if I go into the presentation mode, in this one, I basically, let me just go and hide it a little bit. I did it edited object, brushes, showing you exactly the object, the edit, the scene that I have, and then icon with a reference and without a reference. Also, what we did today is basically we went in and we played a little bit with the colors that you have. So if I'm going to go into the recent and I'm going to go into the second symmetry over here, we went in and played with generative recolor. And you can see the colors that we have here are absolutely different. We also went in and we played with repeats. And then what you see here is the look of the repeats that we have. And of course, if I select that, and then I'm going to go into the recolor, I can start doing again the recoloring and go to the stuff that I have, and then just click and get another color. Any questions, you guys, before we call it a day? And we'll come back to our other Illustrator classes. So I'm just going to go back to this area over here. This is generative Adobe Illustrator vector text to vector. And this one is the general information. And then generative Adobe AI Illustrator to create some colors. And if you guys don't have any questions, thank you very much for coming. I'm here every Thursday from 4 to 8, inviting you to come visit the classes and see if you want to take it in the fall. I'm on Behance weekly on Wednesdays. So if you guys want to join, this is my Behance channel. This is some of my Behance drawing over here. And love to see you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. I will post the recording and have a wonderful day.